In parts of Texas, the price of ground beef has climbed past $8 a pound. That local price spike is part of a much larger collapse in the North American cattle trade. Transfers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico are frozen. A single tropical blowfly known as the screwworm has managed to travel north, completely paralyzing this entire continental supply chain. This biological anomaly has managed to stall the international trade of North America's primary protein. Unlike common flies that seek out dead animals, the screwworm requires a living host. The female finds a minor scratch or a fresh cut on a calf and lays her eggs directly in the wound. When the maggots hatch, they burrow into the warm flesh. The infection is incredibly painful and can kill a full-grown animal in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Because the newly hatched flies remain with the host, the infection spreads through a herd with explosive speed. The Texas beef industry is currently under siege by a multiplying enemy the United States believed it had defeated 60 years ago. Eradicating this pest in the 1960s cost the equivalent of $500 million in today's money. To maintain that victory, the government funded specialized labs and monitoring teams for decades. But recent DOGE efficiency mandates targeted these programs as a source of government waste. Because the screwworm had been inactive in the U.S. for 50 years, the USDA labs monitoring the disease were deemed unnecessary, and their funding was cut. By closing these seasonal labs and cutting active monitoring teams, the USDA dismantled its frontline detection network and lost the generational expertise required to fight the infestation. The pursuit of immediate financial efficiency removed the biological security tripwire that protected a multi-billion-dollar industry. Without that monitoring, the fly moved from Mexico into South Texas before the border could be secured. Once cases were confirmed in the U.S., Canada responded by stopping all cattle transfers, effectively breaking the continental system used for fattening and slaughter. This has left American feedlots, giant facilities built to absorb livestock from across the continent, suddenly starved of imports. Producers are also facing massive new overhead. In infected areas, every single animal must now be treated both internally and externally with agents like ivermectin to prevent a total herd loss. The combination of international border freezes and mandatory medical treatments has significantly increased the cost of producing beef. Stopping the spread requires a specialized biological countermeasure known as the sterile insect technique. Scientists breed and release millions of irradiated sterile males. When they mate with wild females, eggs fail to hatch, collapsing the local population. This chart shows the bottleneck. Driving the fly back requires 1 billion sterile insects weekly, but current capacity is only 1 million. The United States is now limited by a lack of the industrial-scale biological manufacturing needed to execute this cure. Even if the flies are stopped, the recovery timeline is fixed. Raising a cow to maturity takes 36 months, a clock that can only start after the screwworm is eradicated. Best-case projections suggest the U.S. beef herd won't be back to its necessary levels until at least 2028. For American consumers and processing facilities, this means several years of shortages and high prices. Cutting a few $1 million in monitoring costs triggered a multi-billion-dollar disruption to the American food supply that will take nearly a decade to fix.